We got a new Dragon Ball movie, Dragon Ball Super, Superhero. Of course, not all Dragon Ball movies are made equally. So what about this one? Is it Broly or is it Bojack? Let's find out next.
Who's the master?
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Who's the Master? Your boy Shogun Singh is in the house to talk anime with you. Okay, we got a brand new Dragon Ball movie, Dragon Ball Super, Superhero. If you're like me, you're a fan of the original anime in all forms. Well, maybe not all forms. Dragon Ball GT. Less said about that, the better. But Dragon Ball Z in particular is probably a series that a lot of you remember, and a lot of you remember with a lot of hype. Everything about that show was epic. The power-ups, the power moves, the Kamehameha waves, instant transmission, the bad guys, all of it was just great. Hit after hit after hit. Akira Toriyama could not miss. And even when he left the series, hey, Majin Buu, maybe not the best Dragon Ball arc, but it was a banger nonetheless. Talk about hype moments from the show. If you're like me, you thought one of the most hype moments in the entire show was when Gohan went Super Saiyan 2 and took out Cell. By the way, spoilers will be abound for this whole movie, just FYI. Gohan was kind of a trash character at the beginning. I didn't like him like a lot of other people, but when he went Super Saiyan 2 and he took out Cell, man, that moment was just badass. Now, unfortunately, after that, Gohan went by the wayside. And rightfully so, Goku's just a better protagonist. But Gohan made a lot of fans, including myself, and a lot of us kind of felt a little bit of regret not getting to see Gohan get the torch passed. Well, for those of you who are like me and that are Gohan fans, do not fear. Akira Toriyama's got your back in this movie. Now, Gohan's not necessarily the main protagonist of the movie. The main protagonist is, in fact, another character that we all hold near and dear to our hearts that kind of went by the wayside as the series moved along, and that is Piccolo. Piccolo is now, of course, a surrogate father to Gohan. Okay, this movie serves as redemption arcs for both those characters. It's also a nice throwback to superhero comics of old. I got this nostalgic feeling watching this movie, and not just because of Dragon Ball. Now, Dragon Ball's movie is always going to be a fresh injection of nostalgia right into your veins, just like your protagonist in Requiem for a Dream. But that wasn't the only bit of nostalgia that you got in this movie. It felt like I was reading an old school comic book. It just has that feel. When you get characters that are introduced, the way they're introduced, the graphics that come up, it just can't help you but give you that warm feeling like you're a little kid reading comic books back at the grocery store while your mom's shopping for groceries. And that's exactly what I felt watching this movie. Really made me realize that Akira Toriyama is probably a fan of some of those older comic books because he's really able to capture that essence. Now, he doesn't give us your classic superheroes. The characters are very much Dragon Ball Z characters, and in fact, we get some blasts from the past here, in particular Red Ribbon Army, big player in the original Dragon Ball series, big player somewhat in the Android series, only really just their insignia, and really just with Dr. Gero, but they are definitely a big player here, and so more nostalgia just injected straight in your veins, just like you want it, like an addict. And Red Ribbon Army isn't the only cast of characters that you learn to love in this movie. Of course, you don't love them because they're antagonists, but the cast of characters in this movie is colorful. I liked Dr. Heron and Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 in particular. I thought were nice characters. I thought they were colorful. I really enjoyed them. And this movie is not supposed to be a part of continuity, but I hope they find a way to bring them all back, including the one that's no longer with us at the end of this movie. Into main continuity. I'd love to see more of Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, just like we saw Beerus jump into continuity after the Lord of Destruction movie, or the Gods of Destruction movie, I should say. Now, speaking of characters, this movie, if you watch it in theaters, you're going to watch the dub version. Now, if you're like me, normally that's not what you want to hear. Like many of you, I grew up on the dubs, and I learned to love those voice characters, but when the option to watch the subtitles came out, I realized how much vastly superior the Japanese subtitles were to the English dubs. No fault of the English dub actors. It's definitely probably a tough job to do a dub in a show that was written for a foreign language, so I don't mean to throw any shade on those people, those hardworking actors, but the Japanese subs were just better. However, I found the dubs to be quite delightful in this particular movie. I thought the dub actors did a great job, especially Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. The actors behind them I thought were fantastic. And the actor that does Piccolo, he's always on point. He's always great. Also, I thought the blend of 3D animation and regular animation was done very well. Now, that's something we'll touch on a little bit later. I know 3D animation is, once again, something that a lot of you immediately have some bad memories about.
Evidently, that's one of their triggers.
My God.
But the way it's blended in here, you notice it. It's hard not to notice the 3D animation because it's definitely got a different look and feel than the hand-drawn animation. But once again, it doesn't take away from anything, and it's really thrown there kind of seamless. The transition from hand-drawn animation to 3D animation is not jarring as far as creating cuts or stutters in the action. It's all kind of flawless, and they do a really good job with that. The story itself, now something else we'll also hit on a little bit later, but I found the story to be a positive because it's simple, it's easy to follow, and it gets you from action piece to action piece, and that's what we're all here for, right? The action. This movie in particular has some very, very good fight scenes. Not as good as Broly. Dragon Ball Super Broly had some mammothly epic fight scenes. Probably go down to some of the better fight scenes in the series in its entirety. But while the fight scenes aren't as epic in this movie, they are definitely damn good. They definitely hit the spot and give you that Dragon Ball action that you crave. And what are the reasons we watch Dragon Ball Z in particular? We want to see fights, for sure. But we also want to see some power-ups. And we get some power-ups here, especially with your two boys, Gohan and Piccolo. They get, not only do they get redeemed, but they get some massive power-ups. Once again, power-ups. These power-ups are not in continuity, but I like them. And I hope we see more of them. Now, some people do complain about the way the power-ups look, and let's go ahead and jump into what some of the complaints people have had. You know, listen, I get tired of these dork complaints. I hate 3D animation. Gohan can't be stronger than Goku. Oh my god. This bond was so simple. Oh my god. Listen, this is a Dragon Ball movie. It's not Citizen Kane. Have you watched a Dragon Ball movie? None of the plots are great. That's not what we care about. We want action. That's what we get. And that's just, the movie is just designed for that. So, you know, hey, listen, the plot's simple. Yeah. If that's a complaint that you have about this movie, you're watching the wrong franchise, so you can just go away and go watch something else. This is clearly not the franchise for you. Shut up, okay?
You need to shut the fuck up!
The problem with 3D animation, I get why some people have an issue with it, but listen, it's just a reality of the genre. Okay? Hand-drawn animators are in short supply. Animation has gotten very expensive. There are a lot more shows that need to be animated these days. Animation has blown up. It's no longer a small niche genre. So animators are in much higher demand, and it's a tedious, expensive job. 3D animation allows you to get past all of that. It's much easier to produce. It's much cheaper to produce. And it's come a long way. Once again, while I did notice the transition to 3D animation in these action scenes, I didn't think it was jarring, and I think it looked really good. In particular, I thought the scene with Cell Max looks really good in that 3D animation. He looks very imposing, you know, and much more dangerous in that 3D animation style. So, while some people complain about that, and I get their complaints, I personally didn't find that it took away from the movie too much. Now, I did have some complaints. This is not a perfect movie by any means. Once again, though, when you go in there with proper expectations, you get the right amount of enjoyment from the movie, and that's why I went there with. Now, I would have liked to see some more from Cell. I love classic Cell. I thought he was a great villain.
So, thanks?
This Cell Max, is kind of a mindless villain. For some of you that watched the second Broly movie, you get mindless Broly. It's a little bit of the same here. We don't have Cell in this complete form. And I understand why they had to do that. I mean, you only got so much time in this movie, and I don't know what I would cut away from this movie to give us classic Cell. I'm probably just being a little bit selfish with this complaint. Another complaint that I have that I'm being very, very selfish for, because it definitely wouldn't have fit in the movie, I would love to see Frieza come across Cell. That's just a little bit fanboy in me. It's not really even so much a complaint, it's just a hope. I would have loved to see this in the movie, since Frieza is once again a player in the universe. We didn't get that. Obviously, we weren't going to get that. And once again, that's just me being unrealistic. Now, for those of you that want to see Goku and Vegeta, keep in mind they take a back seat in this movie. They're in it for a very, very small amount of the movie. There's a nice little bonus scene with them, so stay past the credits to see that. But they're not the main players in this movie. Beerus takes a back seat. Wiz takes a back seat. There are some nice moments of humor, especially between Beerus and Chile. That was kind of humorous, and the humor kind of works. Once again, humor in Japanese animation is hit or miss, right? They've got a different sense of humor than we do. It doesn't always work. And while you're not going to be busting your sides watching this movie, you definitely will crack a smile. You'll crack a smile throughout the entire movie. If you're a fan of the series, I can't recommend it enough. Now, what am I going to give the movie? And that is the $1 million question. As you know, we're a new channel. We're working through our rating system. And for those of you that may not know, 1 through 5 is trash. 5 through 6, we have yet to determine that one. That's going to be coming up. And in fact, we'd love for you to comment below and let us know if you've got some ideas. 6 and 7 in particular are going to be mid, and 8 and up, and that's where I'm giving this movie because I'm giving it an 8.5. That means it's got that glow. Just like Bruce Leroy, it's got that glow. I definitely recommend watching it. I even recommend owning it on Blu-ray if you're a fan of the series. If you're not a fan of the series, you're not going to rank it that high. You're not going to enjoy this movie. Why are you even here watching this video? I appreciate it. I appreciate you helping us out in this algorithm, but really, you're insane. I love that Akira Toriyama is back. I love that he's smashing out of the park and give us bangers. G's up to Akira Toriyama for giving us back the Dragon Ball that we love. And that's exactly what this movie is. So, go ahead and watch it. Come back, watch this video. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to get notified when you want more. And comment below. Let me know. What did you think of the movie? Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Did you hate it? Are you one of those uber repressed nerds that wants to complain about everything? Go ahead. Hey, listen. Just because I don't take your complaints seriously doesn't mean I don't want to hear them. Comment below. We'll debate. We'll talk it out. We'll talk it out. That's what family does, all right? Family.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Just like Dom says. And if you agree with me, let me know as well. And until next time, peace.